Your information station, WTIM.
Welcome into WTIM with Tim, your information station. It is time now for the WTIM morning show. Thank you so much to our live stream sponsors, People's Bank and Trust and Landmark of Taylorville. Now I'm sitting down with Diane Wilson from Lincoln Land Community College. She is the Neurodiagnostic Technology Program Director. How you doing today, Diane?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. We got you over the phone. You sound great on our end, and that was quite a long title I just read off there, and I read that, and that's a weighty title there. Can you go into a little bit about neuro diagnostic technology and what it is you guys do over there at the Lincoln Land Community College?
Sure. We'll break it down. We do have a very interesting title. But basically, it's the study and recording of the electrical activity of the brain and nervous system. And that still sometimes sounds, kind of daunting. But the most common test is the EEG. And I think people might be familiar with that, sometimes called a brainwave test. But yeah, it's the recording of the electrical activity to see how the brain is functioning. So the main thing, it provides that critical information. It aids in the diagnosis and treatment for our patients that have neurological problems, epilepsy, headaches, head and spinal injuries, seizures, sleep disorders, strokes, and then your traumas and comas. So everybody has a connection or knows somebody then that's probably been affected by one of those disorders.
Absolutely. Upon reading that, you might not think that involves me, but you mentioned EKG, you mentioned all these great technology that we use or have been used on us in the doctor's office. That definitely falls into that category. Definitely. So, what's next, or what is going on over there with the department as of right now? You've been working there since 2004. What has changed? What's new with the department?
Yeah, we've got some great things. We've been a 2-year associate degree program, and this fall we're going to start have a certificate option. So that's really going to be great for our students to be able to complete in 12 months and give them the option for the certificate. The benefit for those that complete all or some of their gen ed courses already, or those that might be returning to school that may already have a degree, or just wanting to enter as a second career and get into the workforce quicker. So the same graduates are eligible to sit for our national exam upon graduation. And all of the core classes are the same. So regardless if you're entering for an associate degree or a certificate, you're in the same class, and you're in the same classes, same cohort. Your gen ed courses then could be completed later, oftentimes using tuition assistance when they are hired on at a hospital later.
So really making it easy on these students, that's really good, especially for the field that they are going into. This endeavor is, definitely one that's going to be a lifetime career for a lot of these people. And what do you find is rewarding from these students that once they've finished in this particular field?
Healthcare in general is just very rewarding. Just working side by side with physicians and other healthcare professionals is extremely rewarding every day. The patients are appreciative, and that's the big thing. We're answering their questions and providing a correct diagnosis for those doctors to get them the correct treatment and medication. The students commonly have that connection to the field themselves. Right, a family or a loved one that's had an EEG, or maybe cared for someone with seizures, or that's had a stroke. So you have that connection to your patients as well. And healthcare changes along with technology. It's never the same, and it's always evolving and changing, and that keeps it very interesting and rewarding to me. I love that I can still learn new things all of the time.
Yeah, that's really great, and I'm sure that it's very altruistic work. At the end of the day, you guys are just wanting to serve the public, and you're seeing people at their worst times, and they're coming to you guys for help, and you guys eventually will know what is wrong with them. So they're putting all their trust in you, and I'm sure that's where all that comes from, and rewarding about the particular field. So Lincoln Land Community College offers this education into this field. How many schools are doing this around the country?
Yeah, we're very fortunate. We're one of 30 accredited programs nationally. So Lincoln Land is the only accredited program in Illinois. We started as a St. John's program back in 1974. So before we transferred to a Lincoln Land program in 2012, we're one of the longest running programs in the country.
Wow, it's the only one in Illinois, and it's a community college, so it's already making it a little bit more affordable for these students. That's really great. And you guys have a new certificate option available. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, that's that certificate that they can get within 12 months. So they can get their associate degree or their certificate. It just gets that quicker route into the field.
Totally. And you mentioned you could finish your gen eds after this. Can you explain that, or did I mishear that?
Right. Yep. So if you've got some of your gen eds already done, you'll probably be able to graduate sooner than that 2-year associate degree time. If you have the certificate option and you can finish in 12 months, you might enter the workforce and complete your associate degree later, right? Come back to the community college, take your classes while you're working, maybe in the evenings, utilize tuition reimbursement and some of those options that hospitals offer. And then it's another way then to make that just as affordable to finish that degree and move on.
Well, that's going to be huge, and that's going to I feel like it's going to promote a lot of the neurodiagnostic technology uh, students that want to go into this endeavor. Have you been seeing a little uptick in people that want to pursue this?
Yes, our interest has been increasing, and I encourage everybody, of course, to always check it out and see if it's something that would be of interest to you, because the demand is very high.
The demand is there. You also mentioned that a lot of people that enter into this field, they have a personal connection to it. That's also a trend you see.
Yes, there's always usually a connection to healthcare from the students. It's a draw to want to help others, take care of others. And when you have a connection to somebody that has had a neurological problem or maybe been through this testing and had these EEGs done before, it makes, it's that draw that makes you want to do it as well. I've had a draw when I entered the field. We took care of my grandmother at home after a stroke. And so she was affected, on one side. And that was interesting to me to kind of find out why that happened and to understand the brain a little bit more.
Totally. I'm sure the motivation just follows along with you. You always can remember that. That's really great. Now you keep mentioning EEGs. I said EKG earlier. That's a chest examination, I believe. The EEG. Can you explain a little bit about what that is again?
Yeah, the EEG is the brainwave test. So what we do is we put electrodes on the scalp, and that records the electrical activity of the brain. So we're not shocking people or giving anybody current or anything. What that does is it shows us patterns on our digital screen, on our computer. And those patterns kind of correlate with different diseases or disorders. And that's what helps those physicians get an accurate diagnosis. For example, somebody with epilepsy, there's many different types of epilepsy and many different types of seizures. And that EEG, those patterns can tell the doctor what type of seizures they have, epilepsy, to get the right medication to treat that. And our students learn how to read those patterns and interpret that to help our patients.
Wow. So this is all really important information to get, and this knowledge is almost readily accessible out there for anyone that wants to pursue this. This has been really great so far. I'm sitting down with Diane Wilson of Lincoln Land Community College. She's the Neurodiagnostic Technology Program Director over there at Lincoln Land Community College. You're listening to the WTIM Morning Show. We'll be right back in just a little bit with more Diane Wilson. You're listening to WTIM, your information station.
Your information station, WTIM. Your information station, WTIM.
Welcome back into WTIM with Tim, your information station. We are in the midst of the WTIM morning show. Thank you so much to our live stream sponsors, People's Bank and Trust and Landmark of Taylorville. Now, we'll get right back into it here with Diane Wilson. She is the Neurodiagnostic Technology Program Director for the Lincoln Land Community College. We've had a great conversation so far. We learned that Lincoln Land Community College is the only accredited school in Illinois it's one of the 30 schools with this program, really offering great opportunities for students to pursue this. Now, Diane, you're still with us. We still got you?
Yes, I'm
Beautiful.
here.
Sounding great on our end. And now let's talk a little bit about the class formats and how those are set up.
Yeah, our classes are designed for hybrid format or online. We did this a few years ago and we found it really successful, right? It allows for a lot of increased flexibility for our students. They might be working while going to school or maybe caring for family members, and they can kind of complete a lot of their work on their time, right? So it allows them that flexibility to not have to drive to the classes every day.
That is huge, especially ever since COVID and hybrid and asynchronous classes have become a thing, and they're definitely helping out students that have to work a job, like you said, or they're just making it all more accessible. So those online hybrid classes are just going to be huge for students. Definitely another reason to go into this field. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the clinical components and where those can be done.
Right. So students begin their clinical right at the beginning of the program. So 2 days a week, they're in clinical each semester. So the 3 semesters, 2 days a week. And that's why, again, our courses are done hybrid. So that gives them that flexibility those other 3 days to then be able to hold down their part-time jobs or take care of their other responsibilities. They participate in all aspects of performing the EEG. So they're learning to read and correlate those patterns we talked about earlier. They prepare the data and the documentation for the interpretation by the physician. So we work closely with neurologists. There's a variety throughout the day as well. We talked about the different types of patients that we see. So we go to all areas of the hospital. We're in the NICU, that's the neonate intensive care, all the way to the adult ICU and emergency room. So it's always interesting and never the same. Epilepsy monitoring units or even outpatients that come in to the department just for a routine test.
Yeah, it sounds that sounds very interesting, and working really close with the physicians and the doctors. It's really going to be important that they learn everything they need to learn, and I'm sure they will in this new, and not a new field, but in this great offering by Lincoln Land Community College. Now, you mentioned that the job market for this is in high demand right now. So the job prospects in this field looking pretty good for students right now.
It is. Our clinical sites are in Springfield, Decatur, Peoria, Champaign, St. Louis. We're just signing a contract in June. So we kind of try to meet the students where they're at and develop those contracts there so they can attend clinical close to home as well. And many of our clinical sites hire students prior to graduating from the program. So they already have jobs prior waiting on them, or they might be working while they're going to school. The demand, is great across the country. I looked, the Bureau of Labor Statistics projected a 33% growth through 2030. So it's not going away, and the demand is just really increasing. We get emails all the time from hospitals across the country wanting to recruit our students. They want to come here and talk to them in person. So they have just great opportunities. I'd like to talk about a big area that's booming right now is remote monitoring from home. Never would we thought we would be monitoring patients from our home, but that's very popular, and the demand is very high right now. And it requires, 2 to 3 years of hospital experience, of course, before being able to do it solo, remote. But opportunities exist, in hospitals, travel positions, and now from home.
That's really cool. So remote visits are becoming another opportunity here. I'm sure that makes it a little bit more hard not being face to face with a person. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so the patients are being set up in the hospitals for long-term studies, right? They might be in the intensive care unit or an epilepsy monitoring unit, and they're hooked up. Those leads are on their head, and the machine's running at the bedside for many days. And there's just not the staffing in the hospitals to sit and watch that to alert the physicians for any key changes. So remote monitoring from home is very popular to help and assist in that staffing shortage. So we'll be sitting at home and monitoring those same patients like we were sitting at the bedside. And we can just call those physicians and nurses and alert them to any changes.
Wow, so that's one of the few things when you speak of hospitals and that can be done remotely, and it's really cool that you guys have been able to set that up and really save some staff and save people's time. They're able to enjoy time in their own home. That's really great. We got about a minute left here. Can you go ahead and get out some websites or phone numbers that individuals can go if they're interested in more information?
Sure. If anybody's interested, you can get more information on our website. That's llcc.edu/NDT. That'll take you directly to our page. From there, there's a lot of information on the courses and then the link to register for an information session. So I have the next one is coming up July the 11th, or you can email me. All my contact information is on there, or call 217-757-6490.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for being on to the WTIM Morning Show with us, Diane.
Great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. That was Diane Wilson with the Lincoln Land Community College Neurodiagnostic Technology Program. She's the director and has been since 2004. Thanks so much again to Diane for being on the WTIM Morning Show. Thank you so much to our live stream sponsors, People's Bank and Trust and Landmark of Taylorville. My name is Tim Zalback. You've been listening to the WTIM Morning Show here on WTIM, your information station.
Your information station, WTIM.